did Canon claim victory as the #1 mirrorless brand in the United States for a 3rd year straight? Or did that position go to Sony? Well, stick around after this short message for all the details. But first, subscribe to this channel for a chance to win a Canon EOS R5. I'll be giving one away to one lucky subscriber once this channel reaches 100,000 subscribers. Anyone above the age of 18 with a valid mailing address is eligible. Additional terms and conditions are linked in the description down below. Canon issued a press release this morning stating that they captured the #1 position in mirrorless camera sales. The needs of our customers have always been at the forefront of our business, and that's why we've worked so hard to maintain the #1 position in our industry. He goes on further saying, I am proud of our team for not only achieving this great success, but for also empowering our visual storytellers. This might come as a bit of a surprise for some of you. It might be a bit of a sort of sharp turn in the road kind of thing where we're going, wait a minute, Sony's been dominating the top 10 Yodobashi sales in Japan. In fact, Sony's been dominating sales in Japan for the past 6 months or so. But if we take a look to North America, or in particular the United States, the largest market in North America, we can see that Canon has dominated the #1 position in mirrorless camera sales, and of course DSLRs. No doubt Sony doesn't make DSLRs, but the #1 position in mirrorless camera sales in the United States, and that's a big deal. A couple of months ago, I did show you some information from Lens Rental to show that when it comes to the top 10, Canon dominates what's being rented, but rented and, well, sales are two different things, but apparently, with all the data in now, we can safely say that Canon is not only #1 when it comes to rented units, but also in sales. Unfortunately, this press release doesn't give us numbers of Sony and others, obviously. That'll have to come later. And of course, I'm curious to know what the overall worldwide sales are. But when Canon announced their financial sales figures or financial numbers just a little while ago, what it showed is that, well, sales are up, and that, well, bode very well for Canon and of course their customers because they're able to keep the platform going for many, many years. So #1 position, what do you think? Now, if you're a Sony customer, you might be doing a bit of a double take here going like, what? What's the source of this? Where's this coming from? And of course, the source is Canon in one of their press releases. Yeah, it's a little bit shocking, isn't it? Because if they have the #1 position in mirrorless sales, you know they're wrapping it up in DSLR sales. Does that mean, despite 2023 being a slow year, that Canon has actually increased their market share? Well, we'll just have to wait a little bit longer for BCN and others to report, or even CIPA. I'd rather take CIPA numbers, although they do shipped numbers and not sales. I'd be really curious to see how Canon, Sony, and Nikon performed in 2023. But this has us turning our attention to the Canon EOS R1, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, and the lens market that could be shaping up to produce some really interesting lenses here in 2024, released by Canon. But there's also still a rumor out there, started by Sony Alpha rumors, but then continued by Canon, stating that Canon's going to open their mount, at least to Sigma, with a big Sigma announcement here in February of 2024, or before the end of February, and here we are, first week of February over with CP Plus coming up soon. I would expect some sort of an announcement leading up to CP Plus, but we've heard nothing other than a distributor in some country has said that, yeah, get ready, there's going to be a big announcement. And well, we know there's going to be a big announcement. The 500mm f5.6 for the Sony E mount, and of course the L mount. But does that mean we're getting it for the RF mount, that the big announcement is going to be for Canon, or is this some other announcement? And that's what's a little bit murky right now. But the one thing that's due to really drive an awful lot of sales is the R1, but it's most notably the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And if they produce some lenses, anything near as innovative and capturing the imagination like the 200 to 800mm, I think it's safe to say that Canon's going to have a very, very, very big year. All the talk around the Canon EOS R1 is leading us to some interesting conclusions. We're hearing, and we've heard this for years, that the Canon EOS R1 is going to be a jack of all trades, the master of everything. We've heard that it's going to have insane capabilities from two separate sources. And from people talking to Canon, people in the know that aren't telling them anything, they're telling them that these people at Canon are really excited about what's supposed to happen in 2024. And that doesn't happen in years like 2019 or 2018 when you don't have a lot to offer to the market. You get a sense that the R1 is shaping up to be something else, but we are hearing that, well, it's supposed to have 30 megapixels. It's designed for sports and fast action photographers only, and not a general purpose flagship mirrorless camera like the Nikon Z9. However, we did recently find out that there's 2 camera registrations from Canon, one for DS126922, and that's obviously a stills hybrid camera, and the R1 is the only camera that really is expected to be announced shortly. The R5 Mark II is supposed to come some 4 to 6 months later. But there was another camera announced, and well, not announced, registered along with DS129922. Sorry, I get these numbers mixed up every now and then. Along with 129922 was ID 0179. Now, a lot of people didn't know what the ID was standing for, but you see, when Canon releases new cinema cameras, it gets the ID designation. ID 0159 was actually the registration number for the Canon EOS R5C. Yeah, that's right, a cinema camera. Well, a stills hybrid camera with the cinema badge. So that led me believing that, well, potentially, possibly, we could get the R1C, a cinema badge R1. It's not the first time Canon has done this. But other people I hold dear and trustworthy, such as James Jackson Films, he thinks that it's probably going to be some other cinema camera, perhaps the long-awaited and promised C90 or a C200 or something else. I don't know, I find it very interesting that both a cinema badge camera and a stills hybrid camera are both registered on the same day and not days apart. I still think it's plausible, and that would make sense to why we're getting multiple different sets of rumors or specifications on these 2 cameras with nothing being validated. That we could have a 30 megapixel or somewhere around 30 megapixel stills hybrid photography focused camera for fast action photographers called the R1, and then perhaps a cinema badge R1 that pushes things further, better than the R1, better than the Nikon Z9, because according to one of my sources, he keeps telling me over and over again that he's been told that the R1 will be better than the Nikon Z9, and it will be better than the Sony Alpha 1. Very interesting year shaping up, and of course the Canon EOS R5 Mark II is supposed to be, I won't use the word insane because I hate that word, I think it's absolutely silly, but it's supposed to be a game changer. It's supposed to offer something different that we haven't seen in previous stills hybrid cameras at the 5 series level. Now, what could this mean? Well, we have patents that indicate internal ND filters, but that could go to the R1C if it's real. We've also got patents indicating other unique things that we could see in an upcoming mirrorless camera, and perhaps they could go in the R5 Mark II, perhaps they'll go in the R1. It's really hard to say, but if you take a look at my video that I published a couple of weeks ago where I talk about all the different patent applications that Canon has published in the last, quarter alone, it's looking like they've got some really interesting ideas, and internal ND filters is just one of them. And yes, those internal ND filters aren't designed for cinema cameras. If you look at the patent application, it actually shows that they're designed to go into a stills hybrid camera. So I think that 2024 is going to shape up to be a very, very good year for Canon. The fact that they've nailed the #1 position in mirrorless camera sales kind of puts to doubt all those people who are saying that Canon is going down, that third-party restriction of lenses is going to hurt them and harm them. And the data that just came in doesn't appear to be the case, and that's got to make a lot of people at Canon very happy, but it also adds a bit of a promise for the future. This whole story, this post by Canon Rumors that Sigma will be producing or having a big announcement for the Canon RF mount by the end of February, that's got a lot of people, including myself, excited at the potential possibilities. But everything we're hearing from Sony Alpha Rumors lately is indicating that, yes, there's going to be an announcement, but it's not for Canon glass. It's going to be for Sony glass, Leica glass in the 500mm f5.6. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're interested in purchasing any camera gear that I've just talked about, then please consider using my affiliate links down below, these ones right here, because it really does help this channel grow. I get anywhere from, 2 to 12% back, and that helps me fund purchases for this channel, helps keep it going, helps fund it. And I can't wait to pick up the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And depending what Canon does with the EOS R1, I might be getting that camera as well. That would be a bold decision, wouldn't it? And of course, lenses. I'm going to pick up a few lenses this year. The one lens I'm definitely going to pick up is the 24-105 f2.8. I'm just waiting to see what other lenses come out, because I do have a 24-105 right now, and it's a good lens. It's the f4. I want to see what other lenses come out, because if there's an awful lot of glass on the market, I might just choose to get those and then push the 24-105 to another slow news year like, well, 2025. But that really depends. But again, thank you to everybody that has used my affiliate links. That's what's going to allow me to fund the R5 Mark II and the Canon EOS R1 if it's up to snuff. Otherwise, a bunch of lenses. And I'll be pre-ordering those cameras and lenses as soon as I get the chance, as soon as Canon makes an announcement. But stay tuned for next week, because according to one source, we are supposed to get some sort of an announcement 7 to 10 days before CP+. Yeah, some sort of announcement for the Canon EOS R1. Perhaps a development announcement, perhaps some sort of teaser, or maybe even some sort of web portal presentation of this new camera, at least teasing about it. But that's it for now. Have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.